Well, after reviewing the last game, I think that we made a significant amount of improvement in a lot of areas. There's a lot of things that we did well. I think the most pleasing was that we, started the game fast, executed well early in the game, made some explosive plays, played well defensively early. I think the challenge is for everybody to maintain intensity so that, we can continue to play that way for 60 minutes in the game. Got to play a lot of players in the game. This will be a great learning experience for them. We certainly need some of those guys to be able to go out on the field and execute probably more efficiently and effectively than we did, both on offense and defense with our backup players, and finish the game in a more satisfactory fashion in terms of execution. The real season is really starting now. I think that SEC play coming up, we've had some gifts given to us in the first couple games, and I don't think that's going to happen. And I think the players have to know the importance of stepping it up a notch in terms of level of preparation and what we need to do to continue to improve and to be able to play well against a very good team on the road. So we look forward to the SEC opener, no doubt. But we also have a tremendous amount of respect for Ole Miss and their team. Obviously, Matt Luke has done a really good job there. They're playing as well offensively as anybody in the country. They got a lot of weapons. The quarterback's playing extremely well. They've got 3 really, really good receivers that are all very productive and capable of making explosive plays. They've been able to run the ball efficiently. The new running back they have has done a really good job of their offensive line is good. This is a really, really good offensive team, as indicated by their statistics of, being one of the top offensive teams in the country. Defensively, I think they've made a lot of improvement. Those guys are playing hard, and, I know they gave up some points last week, but, I thought against Texas Tech they really played well against a really good offensive team. So got a good kicker. These guys do a good job all the way around on special teams, so this is going to be a very challenging game for us.
Coach, we'll start back with Cecil.
Coach, Jordan Tommy was not their quarterback when you played last year. They had sort of a different style quarterback. What, in watching film, since he took over, they seem to be more dynamic on offense. What exactly does he present?
I think they did 2 things. I think early in the year last year, they weren't running the ball very effectively. And I think they got back to balance, running the ball, throwing a lot of RPOs, throwing good play action passes. And he's very athletic. He can run. He makes plays with his feet. So he's an extra dimension, as well as being a very, very efficient passer. And I just think that really what he does is makes plays for other guys on his team by distributing the ball and making good choices and decisions about what he does with it, which is indicated by the fact that he hadn't thrown a lot of interceptions and he's throwing quite a few touchdowns. So I think that's the biggest difference. I think they changed their style of play a little bit. They became a much more effective running team, play action passes, RPOs. So, and he does a really good job of executing.
Stay on the side in the middle with Michael.
What do you think makes Tua effective throwing the ball across the middle?
Well, Tua is pretty instinctive in terms of the passing game. I think he sees things, really well. I think a good example was they ran a corner cat and the safety didn't cover the X, and he wasn't even supposed to be reading that side of the field, and he was protected on the play. It wasn't hot, and he throws the ball to Smitty for a touchdown. So he does a nice job of keeping his eyes downfield, stepping up in the pocket, and there's a couple third down plays where he bought some time and stepped up in the pocket and were able to convert on throws, and I think it's he's well prepared, but he's also very instinctive, and he does a good job of keeping his eyes downfield to find people over the middle.
The left side with Chris Walsh.
Deontay Thompson with that kind of range in the back end, does that allow you to do some different things defensively?
Not really. I mean, that's what we expect out of our safety, that plays on, the free safety part of the field for us. And, Deontay does have really good range. I think it helps a lot when you play middle of the field coverage. It's got a safety, that can really break on the ball. I mean, also when you play split safety coverages, those guys' range back there is critical to overlapping throws, and he does a really, really good job of that. So it's kind of what we expect. He is really good at it, and that is a bonus for us.
We'll come back over here with Charlie.
Two quick ones if I can. Do you have an update on Jalen Armour-Davis, and then what have you seen from the offensive line through the first two games?
Yeah, Jalen Armour-Davis does have a knee injury that will require surgery, and he'll be out for the year. The other guy that Sean Wynn will actually start practicing again this week. It's too early to tell whether we'll be able to, he'll be healthy enough for us to be able to use him in the game. The offensive line, I think, at times has shown really good execution and been physical, but I think a little more consistency in that area would be something that we'd all target and try to improve on. Fundamental execution, finishing blocks, being a little bit more physical on the line of scrimmage on a more consistent basis is the way I would sort of categorize, those guys to this point.
Coach, we'll come right up here with Blake in front.
Coach, Mike Wilson has a tattoo on his back in memory of his close friend and cousin that he lost that passed away. A, have you seen it? And B, how can that galvanize a player when you have that kind of source of inspiration?
Well, I can't speak to these things. I think this is a question you should ask for Mac. I have not seen it. I'm very aware of the circumstance with his friend. But I can't speak for Mac. I don't know. I really don't know how, it affects his play, his performance, his willingness to prepare, his character, to go about do things in a really more positive way because of his relationship he had with a friend. I really can't speak to that, So I would suggest maybe ask him.
Come back over here on the right. Dan.
What are some of the challenges of defending a group with so many different wide receivers that can all do so many things like Ole Miss?
Well, I think you just said it. I think the RPOs make it important that the DBs understand that there's not really just running plays. There's almost passing plays on every running play. So they have to guard the receivers all the time. You got to be able to play really well on the perimeter. I think the other thing these guys can do is they can run with the ball after the catch if you don't tackle well. So eventually you got to cover them. Eventually you got to play the ball. Eventually you got to affect the quarterback. I think you got to play good team defense all the way around if you're going to play well against, this quality quarterback, this quality group of receivers, and their ability to create balance by running the ball. So this is very, very challenging for, all of the guys in the back end for sure.
Back on the left side with Ryan.
After assessing the film, what's your level of confidence in the kicking game right now?
I thought we played really well in the kicking game in the first game. I don't think quite as well in the last game. I do think Joe did a good job when he went in. I think it was 5 for 5 on extra points, made a field goal. Those two guys have been very close all along. Joe's done a pretty good job of kicking off so far. I think the punter, we need to make some improvement in terms of get off time and consistency and hitting the ball. Very capable guy, just has to develop a little confidence in doing these things. And I think the other part of the special teams have been, good. I think there's not one area that we would say that we're satisfied with, that we don't need to make improvement on. We got a lot of new faces out there playing. We're trying to keep some of our guys that are really good special teams players that are playing a lot more now, not to play that much on special teams, especially when you play, these teams that are going hurry up fastball, You know, we had, I mean, I don't know how many it was in the stats, but gradable plays was 90, you know, in the last game on defense. So a lot of those guys are good special teams players, but how much can they play on special teams? So we really try to develop, you know, some other guys, and, you know, depth on your team is really important to being able to do that. So that's going to continue to be a work in progress for us.
Finish up over here with Tony.
We've seen a lot of receivers get yards after catch. You mentioned the short, quick passes over the middle. How much is that a big part of your offense this season with so many receivers that can move after they get the catch?
Well, you know, first of all, I didn't mention the passes over the middle. You all did, but you know, we don't really say, okay, we're going to pass over the middle this time. All right, we kind of read what the defense is doing and then decide where you want to throw the ball. And sometimes the middle's open, especially when a team plays a lot of split safety coverages. That's kind of what the team did last week. So that gave us an opportunity to hit some of those passes off a couple of more RPOs, and a couple of them were, one of them was third down big play that Jerry caught. But, you know, so we have guys that are skilled players who can make plays, and we'd like to spread the ball around, and I think that's what the quarterback's job is to be the distribution center, to get the ball to the right players based on the right read, the right coverage, the right movement keys, so that we can be efficient in the passing game. And so far we've been pretty efficient, you know, in the way we've been able to throw the ball. And I think it's going to be more important that we, you know, clean up our protection and be able to continue to do that and give our skill guys opportunities to make plays as well.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.